Hey guys, it's Cotton over here at Cotton in the Woods. Here's that promised 9mm reload video we're doing for the SIG 365 that we've got going on. Now I've done a couple loads for it. We've kind of gotten around to where we think we know that it likes. We're setting right about 1.155 on the coal, plunks every time. Great shot, great shooter. We started out about 3.6 grains, tight group, was a little low. We're up to about 4 right now, shooting really well at 4. Still getting some powder burn around the edge of the case, so we've got some pressure we can tack on there if we want to. Not quite sure where we're at, so we're gonna load a couple more, about 4.1, 4.2. We're gonna go out and shoot that, see if that's any better than what we've got. We're using these berries, these plated berry 124 grain. Brown nose, we really like these, feeding just about anything, everything that I've ever tried them in, really. Good price on them too. I'll give you that right there in case any of y'all are interested. I really like looking inside the box, especially when it's completely full. It's like a dragon. So I'm gonna really just kind of show this off quick and dirty on the 9mm on the turret press here. So let's just get started here. I'm using range brass, mostly Blazer. Let's rotate it around to our expander die here. I run full length size on my single stage, and I do that on all of them, so that way I can run a separate taper crimp die here. I prefer taper crimp separate from my seating die because I get less of a ring on the end of the bullet, and that especially matters when you're loading these lead round nose. It just bothers me. It doesn't really do anything, but it bothers me, so I run a separate die for it. Let's get started on our expander die here. Is where I start typically. Powder drop there. And we'll go ahead and measure this first charge. I like to measure typically between 5 and 10, depending on how much I've been reloading. Every 5th or 10th round I'll measure a drop. Not sure if you can see this Reading powder scale I've got over here. This old Reading #1. Really love this thing, especially for its age. It is dead accurate. I've got some electronic scales, but I like using it. And we're right at where we should be, right at 4.1 grains on that tight group. I redo my powder drop. I don't try to get the powder back in that, especially on 9mm cases. So I'll just dump that back into the hopper here later. And there you have it. Now let's go ahead and check that coal. Primer feels good. Good run. Let me grab the calipers to check that coal, and then we'll run through a few of them, and we'll maybe go in a little more depth with it. Oh. As you can see, we're right at 1.155, which is what we're shooting for, dead on. So let's maybe run through another 6, even that line out, and then see how we feel. Thanks for hanging out with us today, guys. Really like these Lee turret presses. You get in a rhythm. You can probably do right about 200 an hour if you're going pretty quick. 150 easily. Just steadily moving along here like I am. Let's start here, as you can see, with the expander die and a primer. I use CCI primers. Right now I use any primer I can get my hands on, but for the most part I prefer CCI primers. They go bang when you hit them. That's all I ask for. So on that expander die, for you guys that don't reload, when you resize them, you basically resize the brass to a standard, which is smaller than what a bullet will fit in, because it's the brass itself that holds the bullet in the case. to retain the power until fired. But you want to be able to seat a bullet, so when you expand it, it now will hold a bullet and allow you to seat it into it. So drop. This is obviously dropping the powder in this tight group, about 4.1 grains. Here's our seated that bullet to the 1.155 coal or case overall length that we've done. And then we're going to take that bell flare out and put a little bit of a taper crimp. I run about, maybe 1/1000 of a taper crimp, not even that really, 1/2,000 to 1,000 depending on the case length. Not big on too much of a crimp on 9mm. I run enough tension, especially on plated and lead, because it's larger than your FMJ neck tension wise, but I don't necessarily see the point in a lot of crimp on one. Powder drop, you can see the arm move up, move down. Place one of these plated 124s on. Again, we seated the round, go back around, and we're going to take the flare out and apply a bit of a taper crimp there. You'll see me from time to time check that crimp. Just kind of thing I do. We're going to expand the neck, place a primer into the charge, and we're going to seat that primer into the case. You want it flush, really you want to seat it as far as it'll go. It's typically flush or just under flush. We'll do one more powder drop there, as you can see. Let's go ahead and we'll do a measure on that powder drop, and we'll just check it, make sure we're staying right in 4.1. Tight group's pretty hot stuff, so I like to be within the 1/10 of a charge, 1/10 of a grain on the charge. And we'll go ahead, and I anticipate that to be correct, so we're just going to redo the powder drop here. While we're waiting for that to balance, and we're right where we wanted to be at 4.1. Sitting pretty. We'll do one last one and we'll kind of go over a little bit more. You could definitely, especially if you're not talking to a camera, get to moving pretty quick here, easily and safely. Especially checking your drop, checking your coal from time to time, and not all the time, but probably about every 10th round, and maybe even 15th or 20th if I've just been loading consistently for hours. Like again, this is right at 1.155, just sitting pretty, sitting right where we want it, right where this firearm seems to like them, and more importantly, maybe not more importantly, but importantly, it'll load in just about any, and it's a safe load for all my 9mm. This is well within established loading parameters, and again, this is safe in my firearm. I'm not sure on yours, so definitely start low and work your way up as always. Especially with tight group. I use a lot of tight group. I love tight group, especially for 45 ACP, 9mm, even 38 special, things like that. A little bit goes a long way, but double charges can be disastrous, so be careful with your powder drops, and measure really with the way these turret presses are set up. As long as you pay attention, especially after you check one and redrop, that you have not double dropped a powder load, you're just fine. They load very well. I get some powder burn on tight group, more so than others. It's a bit of a trade-off. Once you start running higher pressures, which is what we're looking for here, you lose a lot of that. Really only see that issue on 38 special revolvers, because it's just a turd to clean. It usually just wipes right off of this stuff. But still, I'd like to push it up a little bit higher, and when I'm talking about I wish I had a case here with the powder burn on there so I could show you, but we don't. Eventually we'll be loading some lead into that. Got that old 450, I don't know if you can see that we've been working on, but I think I about got it whipped into shape. As soon as we get our 356 die in, sizer die, we'll be running this through there, lubing those up. I did powder coat, and it's just a lot of work, and I'd like to do something quick and easy, so we're going to get into some traditional lube, firing those, seeing what we get out of that. And we'll make a video on that too. That should be fun. Again, it's been great hanging out with you guys. Thanks for stopping by here at the workshop, and y'all have a good night.